So Robinhood recently came out with their new active trading and investing charting platform. It's called Robinhood Legend. And Robinhood Legend is pretty much a direct competitor with platforms that have a little bit more oomph behind them, such as Webull and other charting platforms or other just trading platforms or brokers that offer more than just a simple buy and sell or a simple order entry or a simple quote lookup dynamic. But the question in the active trading community is, how does Robinhood Legend actually stack up to something like Webull? And by the end of this video, I hope to answer that question for you. I myself have probably spent a stupid amount of time on Robinhood Legend the past couple of weeks, and over the years accumulated a lot more time on Webull. So I felt like I've almost been doing this video in my head the past couple of weeks anyway, and I want to put it out into one easy to consume format. Now, I've been in the trading space and community for well over 5 years. I think it's actually been 5 years roughly that I've been using Webull and Robin is around more than that. So more than that for Robinhood that I've at least been using it. But Robinhood Legend has been a new, I guess, rollout as of late. So I've boiled things down to 3 categories. Okay. And these 3 categories are as follows: features, functionality, and cost. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare Robinhood Legend to Webull in those 3 categories and break them down into subcategories as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a score from 0 to 10, 10 being the best. And I'm going to score them head to head based on things that I look for, things that I think other people in the active trading community would look for as well. Because obviously, we all want different things. I'm going to look for something that's maybe not the exact same as you. And everyone's going to have a slightly different approach or a slightly different way they see things. So I'm going to do my best to put myself in your shoes or whoever's watching this video's shoes to give it a score based on what it has and how these things stack up against each other. All right, so let's dive into the features here. I don't want to make this video too long because I don't want to waste your time. I want you to kind of get in and get out with what you need. So I'm going to kind of summarize a lot of the different things. If I don't get a chance to show you those things inside of here, I will talk about them at a minimum. And if you have further questions, leave in the comment section down below. Either I can answer them, someone else can answer them, or they could be worth an entire video explaining something if need be for demonstration purposes. So when it comes to features, I kind of boiled this down to a couple components. And one of those components is the ability to customize. So how does Robinhood stack up, or Robinhood Legend stack up with Webull's ability to customize? So if you are familiar with Webull, because it's been around longer, you know you can customize a lot of different things. And I'll jump over there really quick so you can kind of see. This is one of my trading layouts. I can pop open, or I can open up a new layout, and I can have different things that I want to pop up on this layout. I can make it look differently. I can customize things. I can add plenty of widgets. So we've got tons of different quote options to the way to view things, trading different options, classic trading, turbo trading. There's tons of different ways you can trade on Webull as well. Order entry. There's more information in the stocks, statements, all this stuff, general markets. The list kind of goes on and on. Top gainers, all these things. Now, I will say that not all these things are available on the web app, but we'll get to that in the next section. But you know there's a lot of ways to customize your layouts on Webull and customize what you're looking at if you're using Webull. Can you do the same things on Robinhood? And to be honest with you, it looks pretty clean. And when you go into making layouts, they have kind of a template opportunity, or you can start from scratch. I think I started from scratch, and I built this one completely from scratch in a prior video if you want to go check that out. But you can kind of do the same things. Now, I will say the one thing that's kind of lacking from a customization standpoint is the ability to easily see how to trade on the chart, but that's more of a functionality thing. So I'll dive deeper into that in the next section. But I mean, overall, you get the ability to customize. You can change the size of these widgets. You can add them up. You can put what you want in. You don't have to put everything, but I will say you don't have as many options. There are not as many widgets that you can add on Robinhood that you can add on Webull. Part of that has to do with Robinhood being a web application. So this is a web application, whereas Webull will have an app that you can download onto your computer or on your phone, and you can add more things from there. But you don't get as much. But do you need a lot more? Not really. So is that necessarily a negative? It depends. It depends what exactly you're looking for. The next piece inside of the features, I want to dive into the charting tools specifically. So if I look at the chart on the middle of my screen, the top, I have a couple options. I can add in different lines. I can add in different rectangles, ovals to circle things. Fibonacci, price range. I have callouts, labels. I can add text, arrows, highlight things, paths, pencils. Cool. So I can do a whole list of things. Here's a pencil. It's kind of like a trading view. You can kind of write whatever you want in there, and it kind of smooths it out, and it's cool, whatever, I guess. If you think that that's useful, or if you're someone who's teaching something, or whatever. Like if you're teaching something and you want to explain or show, hey, check out this recent high. Cool. Is it super easy? Like is it super clean and smooth like maybe other platforms are? Nah. I mean, the broader the time frame, sure, but I don't know. Kind of rubs me a little bit the wrong way, but at the end of the day, not a humongous deal. So I don't really care that much. But something we should talk about. Pretty much the same thing. You go over to Webull, and you're going to have, let me jump over to my normal layout here. You're going to have a lot of the same things. If I go over here to the drawing section, I have trend line tools, horizontal lines, a lot of the same exact tools that you have on Robinhood. You also get on Webull if I jump down or if I scroll down. You don't get, though, based off the front or based off looking at this, you don't get a pencil tool, so that's somewhat of a negative. But you get a lot of the same tools. Maybe, honestly, to be as crazy as this might sound, Webull might have actually less on the initial tool section inside of the charts. But I'd say that they're pretty fair in terms of adjustments. You can adjust for dividends. You can add extended hours. You can make the charts log, linear, or based off percentages. I like to go with either a linear or a log chart. If I jump out to a bigger time horizon here, let's go out to like a 1 year time frame and a daily time frame. I like to either look at log or linear charts. They're not going to be a humongous difference, but you might notice something there. And if I jump back over to Robinhood, you have the ability to auto scale time frames. I don't believe you have log charts as of right now. Could be an easy addition later on, but you also can add extended hours and have that checked if you want to as well. And so it will just show you kind of the entirety of the trading session or the period you're looking at. I guess on the case of this is a daily time frame. I can jump into a 4-hour time frame, and you can kind of see more clearly the extended hour sessions. But it's not marked as easy as you would see on Webull, so maybe a little more confusing on Robinhood. So I'd give the edge a little bit on the charting tools to Webull to some degree, but then Robinhood, you can see that they're trying to do a better job of adding some tools like the drawing feature and stuff as well. So they're pretty much even split. In terms of indicators, here's where things get a bit more interesting. If I jump over to Robinhood, I can go in and add indicators. There's a list here, and it's not an unlimited list like you would get on like a trading view, but it's a pretty darn good list if you ask me for like the basic main indicators that most like retail traders would be using. Like you have your VWAP, I can add in here if I really wanted to, evaluate average price. You've got Bollinger Bands, you've got simple moving averages, you've got exponential moving averages. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. And then you have more like accumulation, distribution type indicators and a lot more that came from stochastics and stuff. It goes deeper if you really want to get deeper into it. So they've got a good list of indicators there. Let's check out how Webull looks and how they shake up there too. I can jump over to the indicator section at the top right, and I can see I have frequently used, but I can go to the all indicator section, and it's honestly a very similar list. It's actually like a very, very, very similar list. So in the same same category of indicators, these guys pretty much stack up the same way. Maybe there's one or two that I haven't gone through every single one. Maybe there's one or two, maybe more than one or two, if I'm being honest, but there's a couple that might be like, oh, Webull has this, Robinhood has these. But for the most part, for the masses of us, I mean, the main ones are there. Moving averages, VWAP, Bollinger Bands. We had the Fibonacci tool on the other charting tool feature. So you have all the options there as well. Now, into functionality, I should mention really quick that Robinhood Legend does not have a app. Like you can't download it for your desktop computer. It's like a web platform. So you have to log in on the web and then open it up on your browser, which is totally fine. You can do that with pretty much any browser. So not a problem, but it is kind of maybe a negative to some degree because you can get the Webull app for your desktop and then your phone. This is a major discrepancy here that I was hopeful Robinhood would do or maybe will do in the future, but would be adding a mobile app for the Robinhood Legend, I guess, platform. Because, well, yes, we can still trade on our Robinhood platform like usual on our app. You don't get all of the same chart and extra features that you get on Legend on the app. So you're kind of, I don't want to say you're trading blind, but you're kind of trading blind on your mobile phone. Whereas Webull, you can pop the app open, you can look at charts, almost the exact, obviously it's condensed down to your mobile phone, but you can look at charts. You can actually pull up on an iPad too if you want, or a tablet. You can look at charts the same way. You can customize your charts. You can add indicators. You can look at things, draw things out, draw in trend lines that you can't do on Robinhood because they don't have that for a mobile device. When it comes to trading, Webull has a lot of ways to trade. So if I was to use this platform and control click, I can go in and I can immediately set a new order and a create order pops up just as our classic trade widget on the right-hand side pops up. So pretty straightforward. Now, Robinhood has come out and they said, hey, you can trade from the chart and you can do all these things, and you definitely can. It's just that Webull has more to offer here. There's also this widget right here, which allows you to, it's like it's called the Turbo Trader, I believe. It allows you to kind of get in market buy, market sell, super, super fast. And I believe you can even set additional customizations in here, a lot of customizations. You can put in a reverse button, a position button, a close, a flatten, quantity, sell bid, sell ask, buy bid, buy ask, and not to mention you can even have customizable keys, hotkeys for Webull as well. So a lot more detail into the order entry and how you can execute orders. Not to say that Robinhood doesn't allow you to do that. You absolutely can, and there are ways to do or to execute orders, I guess, that are more abundant than it previously had been on the app or on the platform online. It's just not as good as Webull. What I mean by that, if I was to control click, nothing happens. But if I was to go to the plus sign on the right-hand side of my chart, I click on the plus at a price, and I can put in a buy limit, I can put in a sell stop, and then my order form pops up here on the screen. That's one way to go about it. Up in the top left of my chart, there's a buy and sell. I can utilize that. If I was to utilize watch list on the left-hand side, I can also go in here and click on trade, and then it will also pop up the order form here as well. Something to mention here, the order types are also not as good. You've got limits, markets, stop limits, trailing stops, and then the extended hours is underneath that. But you only have a couple different order types, whereas if I was to go to Webull again, I can control click, I go even to advanced orders, and I have OCO orders, OTO, OTO, CO orders. If you know what those means, or it's on the screen, you can see and you can read them. Those are more advanced orders that if you are more of an advanced trader who likes to utilize those, it's good. And it doesn't even have to be like you're so advanced. It's just a nice way to set up your trading or the way you do things so that you can kind of set things and then walk away, leave it, like go do something else where maybe you have to always be checking, oh, did my stop level hit? Or I want to do this. Once this level hits, I have to come back and do it. Whereas you may be able to set that ahead of time with Webull, if you catch the drift that I'm saying. Those who know and who utilize that get it. Otherwise, order types, also kind of the same thing there on the classic trade widget, but you again have the advanced order types as well. So I would give the edge on the trading side to Webull yet again. In terms of ease of use, I would have to say it's not really a close call. I think Robinhood wins, and this might not matter to some, but it is easier to use. It's more visually appealing, I have to be honest with you. The platform looks really cool. I kind of like the layout or the background colors when the market's closed and stuff, how we're in it's cool. Webull, by no means is it bad, and by no means like can you not use it? Absolutely can, but I think there's just a little bit more going on, and because of there being more going on, it's not as easy to see and use. And I think the same thing goes with a mobile app. Now, that's different because the mobile app, we're not really comparing apples to apples. We're kind of comparing apples to oranges. Webull's mobile app, really easy to use from an active trading perspective, but Robinhood even better or even easier, but that's not Robinhood Legend. So it's not like I don't want to compare, like I'm trying to compare Robinhood Legend to Webull, like their web platform here. So it's easier to use. Now, there are other ways to look at things. I can go down and I can check on stocks. I can open up a different section and I can keep things cleaner. I can create and customize my own layouts however I want, yes, but I think there's just maybe a little more going on. The color schemes don't maybe line up as nice. They're a little more gray, whereas Robinhood is a little more visually appealing and fairly straightforward and easy to see. At least I think, and I think others would agree. Very similar to how the app compares to Webull, where like it's easier to use the Robinhood app, but if you're looking for more advanced things and you know what you're looking for, Webull probably makes more sense. It's a bit more complex, but not a problem if you know what you're looking for. Okay, so now I want to talk about cost, and I have a couple things I want to talk about in here because people don't really think about this stuff, but it's worth noting. So here's the Robinhood fee schedule, and I'll blow this up a bit bigger so we can kind of see it better. You think that it is, you might think, wait, why are you pulling this up? It's commission free, and Webull is too. Yes, it is, but there are regulatory trading fees as you scroll down. So if you trade index options, not super popular, but if you do, there are some fees there. We'll talk about the gold rate versus the non-gold rate or the perks of gold in just 1 second, because that adds into kind of like the fees. I pay for it, but you might not want to. So inside of here, there's fees for example, $27.80 per $1 million of principal on sales only, rounded up to the nearest penny, is a regulatory fee. Trading activity fee is 0.0000166 per share on sales and 0.00279 per contract on option sales. These don't look like a big deal, but they are rounded up to the nearest penny. So if you're going with super small share size or option size, that gets rounded up to just 1 cent every time. So you're looking like, yeah, why am I getting charged 1 cent? Not a big deal. 1 cent's 1 cent. Who cares? It's not like it was like dollars back in the day for trading fees or commissions. No, but there are fees. So when it comes down to this, these are fees to mention. I'll pull up the exact same thing on Webull's side here so we can compare the exact numbers in 1 second, but I want to talk about all these first. And then no greater than 830 on the trading activity fee. So that you can't, when you're trading with a much larger size, like, or much larger contract size or share size, worst case scenario that. But that won't even matter because the percentage of that is like tiny on the position size. I would imagine, unless you're trading tiny penny stocks, which they don't have that many penny stocks to trade on Robinhood, I believe. I guess OTC, but whatever. Regulatory fee on options, kind of like the clearing fee. Buys and sells 4 cents per contract. That adds up on options if you trade options. And then there's some more fees inside of there. I won't really get too deep into the service fees and stuff because it's not really as much of an interest in the active trading, and nothing that like stands out as like really bad. It's like if you're getting paper statements and stuff like that, which most of us don't really care. Margin gets interesting. I'll compare the two here. I'll leave it on this page. I'll compare the margin numbers, and then we'll compare the exact fees we just talked about in a second or a second ago. So margin on Robinhood, from what I have seen, this is the latest document, and these numbers will change, right? Because rates go up and down, so these numbers change. But from what I've seen right now, margin rates from $0 to $50,000. So I guess you have to have more than 0 in your account to utilize margin. I think it's like $2,000 around that mark. Webull is $2,000, I know for sure. Your rate is 5.75, okay, which is not like awful if you're utilizing margin for like a couple of days or a couple of weeks on like swing trades. But if you're holding or you're on margin and you're using margin for an extended period of time and you're buying like the dip on margin, like just be aware of that, especially in a higher interest rate environment. Not as like nice on the wallet or on the account, right? That could add up. But that obviously goes down the more money you have, the more money you're going after, because they're making a crap ton off you. They'll give you a bit of a better rate, but at the end of the day, they're still making a lot of money. Robinhood Gold. So as of right now, Robinhood Gold is $5. Let me just jump into it here. Here's the agreement here. It's $5 a month, but with a catch. I guess I should, not really a catch, but it's $5 a month, but the annual is $50. So you could save by going annual. I didn't even know that was an option until now. But cool. You can save some money if you pay with the yearly fee. So they also allow you inside of Gold to borrow your first $1,000 in margin for free, so no interest rate, which is nice. There's a perk to that. So you're paying $5 a month or $50 a year for that ability, so you can utilize $1,000 of margin for free. So you don't have to worry about it. So you can always be like on margin a little bit and not be paying like the margin rate, which is kind of cool. But with that, you also get some deductions to the fees we talked about up here. If I go back up to the index options contracts, if you trade these things, not as common for like the entry level person, but you do get a slightly better rate if you have Robinhood Gold. So could be kind of cool if you want to go about it that way, or if you want to look at it that way. Now, let's just compare the margin rates really quick on Webull. Go to the pricing, margin. Okay, so 0 to 25K, it's 8.75 or 8.74. So go back to Robinhood here. And Robinhood was 5.75 up to 50K. So Webull is substantially higher. 25 to 100K, 8.24. Once you get above 3 mil, you're down to 4.74. Going back in here, Robinhood, you got to get to 50 plus million to hit that 4.7 rate. So technically speaking, like if you have a lot more money, or I guess I should say if you're in the millions, Webull's got a better margin rate, I think. Not I think, it is. But I mean, that's not gonna be the majority of people watching this video. I'll be honest, right? So cool. And most of us should probably not be using margin anyway. Unless you're you're swing trading or, whatever, maybe it's useful. But most of us shouldn't be doing that anyway. Okay, so now let's go back up to these fees right here, the regulatory trading fees. I just want to pull these up and just compare them really quick. So jumping into stocks and ETFs. So here's the regulatory transaction fee on the sell side only. So it's, I'm not even going to count the zeros, times the total trade amount, minimum of 1 cent. So because of the extra zeros here, this ends up being pretty small. If I go back to Robin, let me compare the two. So the trading fee was 0.00016 per share. Slightly different way of going about it. Whereas Webull is that much times the total trade amount. So a smaller number, but you're multiplying by the total trade dollar amount. And if it's still below 1 cent, they charge you a cent. Regulatory fee, same thing, minimum of 1 cent, max 8.30. It's actually very similar to Robinhood. Sorry, but very similar to Robinhood's right here. We were just talking about back in there how the max is $8.30. So nothing crazy. And then CAT regulatory fees, same kind of thing here. Very, very small decimal times your total trade volume. Okay. Jumping into options. If we jump into options, this is going to be, this is tough to kind of to quantify because it technically depends, like, because the fee structure is a little bit different, like how they go by share on Robinhood, and then this is Webull's by total trade amount. If you're a smaller trader versus a much larger trader, this number, like, this could be different for each of you. Like, it just depends. So take that into consideration. I think these are the exact same number. This is the exact same number on the regulatory fee, trading activity fee. I think it's very similar on options. Times your number of contracts. Usually, it's going to be on the smaller side. If you're trading smaller, a cent. Options regulatory fee. Let me just jump back to Robinhood really quick on the option side. Options regulatory fee and OCC clearing fee, 4 cent per option contract, buys and sells. Webull's doing 2 cents, or just about 2 cents times the number of contracts. Okay, again, Robinhood there was 4 cents per options contract, buys and sells. Webull here, 2 cents times the number of contracts. So a little bit different. Small clearing fee. That's not even, that's 2.5 cents. And these all add up. So if you notice, when you trade shares, there are some small fees that come out, maybe the order of a couple of cents. And if you trade options, there's maybe fees that kind of add up to more than a couple of cents, but not over $1, usually on the smaller side, unless you're trading with much larger capital size. So that's kind of what I've seemed to find, or most of us are going to get into or see. Futures, I'm not going to get into it because we're not comparing apples to apples here. As of now, I don't believe Robinhood has futures. And not that I don't believe, they don't have it, but I hope they come soon because it would be kind of cool. I imagine they will, but we can't compare the two right now because we don't have them. So with that all considered, now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to give these guys a number out of 10 for these different categories and then total these guys all up. So going down the line, we're going to go with features first. I'm going to give Robinhood Legend a 7 out of 10 when it comes to features, and I'm going to give Webull an 8 out of 10 on the features category. Why? Because there are, simply in my view, this comes down to there being more options to customize your layout on Webull than with Robinhood. We talked about the Turbo Trader, the different extra widgets. There's more you can put on your layout if you want to. It's not that you need it, but the option is there, and so it can cater to different types of traders or investors, and I think that's useful. Functionality, I give Robinhood a 7 and I give Webull an 8. Yet again, why? In this case, when it comes to functionality, I just can't get over the fact that Robinhood does not have an app form of the Legend platform on desktop or on mobile. I think that's a major, major killer. However, where they do make up for this in this category is ease of use. So I give them the edge on ease of use, but I give Webull the nod kind of times 2 on the ability to utilize the different apps on your mobile devices and on your desktop platform, not just using the web app on your browser. And when it comes to cost, I'm going to go with a 7 for Robinhood Legend and a 7 for Webull. I know we can kind of get into the weeds about there being more cost with gold, but you don't need to utilize and pay for $5 a month for gold. So I don't think that that's that relevant. Yeah, you can get into the weeds about margin fees and margin costs a little bit higher initially on Webull, and then it drops off later on. So it kind of evens it out if you have a larger amount of capital. But the other fees, they're all fairly similar. The wording, it comes out to be a little bit more of a confusing kind of game when you're trying to quantify who this is better for than this. And so what I end up finding is that it depends on the size and the amount of money or contracts or shares you're trading. And so based off of that, I think this is kind of an even split on the cost front. I don't think that there's a dramatic difference in either direction, and I don't think it matters that much. And so I'm going to give them both a 7 on the cost, coming to a 21 out of 30 for Robinhood Legend and a 23 out of 30 for Webull, giving Webull the slight edge based off of what we have in front of us and comparing the two apples to apples. Again, a lot was based off my own opinions and my experience and what I think people would be more appreciative of and would use more and find value in. If you don't agree, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'd be happy to hear your thoughts down there. Any questions, leave them there as well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe. Peace.